the training later. So I'm just going to get started. I'm sorry that we're having technical issues, but any questions that anyone has? This was supposed to be a lot more interactive than it's going to be because I can't hear you, which is so unfortunate, so I'm sorry. But if you have any questions or like responses to my questions, you can speak to each other and then just post them in the chat for me if you don't mind. So thanks for your patience on that. I'm so sorry. Yeah, so I'm Elizabeth, and I work for, as many of you know, the National Activist Network with Greenpeace. So I work a lot with Greenwire and with our volunteers, just trying to help everyone take advantage of Greenwire and use it as well as they can. And that is a lot of what I want this training to be about. I hope that it'll give you all some ways to use Greenwire as well as you can and take advantage of all its awesome tools. So thanks for being here. And yeah, so let's get started if that works. So what we're going to do is kind of go use a sample, event. So we're going to approach this training as if we are planning a climate ribbon party. And some of you, a lot of you hopefully heard about the PCM Day of Action happening on October 14th. And so some of our activists are hosting climate ribbon parties all around the country. So we are just going to use Greenwire right now as if we were planning a party and see how to recruit folks to our climate ribbon party, which is going to be awesome. So, well, first I had a question that I wanted to ask you all. If you were using social media, so like it could be Greenwire if you've used Greenwire to recruit before, I know some of you have, or even like Facebook and Twitter, what are things that you would do to recruit people to come to an event that you're having? So whether it's like an activism thing or like your sister's birthday party, what are things that you would want to do to get folks to come to your event? I can't hear you, which is so sad. So if you'll just post them in the chat if you have any ideas. Yay! So creating an event, awesome. That's probably what I would do first with all the details. Anything else that anyone can think of? Maybe with Twitter. Oh yeah, flyers. That's an awesome idea. Yes, for sure. Steve said sharing it on the shout box of local folks. So getting in touch with people in the area, definitely. Tag people, yeah, for sure, so they get a notification about it. Awesome. Yeah, so I just wanted to take a couple of minutes, and you can keep adding things if you have more ideas, because all the things, some of them are Greenwire related, which is awesome, but even the ones that aren't, I'm hoping to show you how you can do similar things on Greenwire. So, you know, you can think of, sometimes Greenwire isn't perfect, but I just want to make the point that it can be just as helpful, if not more helpful, than you know, some of the social media sites that you're using every day, and it has really great features in terms of organizing and recruitment. So, cool. So, like a lot of you said, the first thing that I would do, oh, I almost forgot. I have notes that I'm going to share with you all. So I'm just going to put the link to the Google Doc in the chat. And you can follow along if you want to, or you can just have them as a reference for later. But let me know if you have any problems seeing that document. But I'm just going to keep talking since we started so late. So like you all said, the first thing I would do if I was planning a climate ribbon party would be to post an event on Greenwire for folks to join. So a lot of you probably know how to do this or can figure it out, but we're going to run through it really quickly now. And I'm just going to give you some tips like for creating the best event you possibly can. So I'm going to share my screen, hopefully. Okay. Can you all see my screen share? Right now it's just the organizer notes, but cool. So thumbs up that everyone can see. I didn't even wait for an answer. I just asked the question. Okay, great. So we're on the homepage of Greenwire, and you're going to click on Community and then Events. And wait patiently for it to load. And then you're just going to click this orange Add Your Event button here. And continue waiting patiently for Greenwire to load. Cool. So just a couple things that I wanted to point out when you're creating an event. The first is this question right here where it says private or public. So I really, really encourage you to always create an event that's totally public to anyone on the web. And that's just because, yeah, it's great for all registered Greenwire users to be able to see an event. But if, for example, someone who's on Greenwire wants to share the event with a friend of theirs who isn't on Greenwire, it's really, helpful for them to be able to just pass along that link. And you definitely don't want anyone receiving an access denied message because that's not really, going to encourage them to come to your event. So that's the first tip I have. And then, so here, it's not very well marked, so I definitely want to point out this section where you can add a group to your event. So every event is going to automatically be added to this Greenpeace Greenwire USA group because every Greenwire member is in that group. But so if we were organizing a climate ribbon party in Denver, for example, I'm definitely going to add the Greenpeace Denver group to my event. And that way this event will just show up on that group page so that if anyone's checking, or the folks that are checking that group page can easily see that the event is coming up if they're looking for things to do in their area. So then the other tips that I had were in terms of the title, it's definitely, we have a lot of events on Greenwire, so we have a lot of climate ribbon parties happening all over the country, like I mentioned, which is awesome. But it's really important to be specific in your title. So I'm, for example, am going to call this my climate ribbon party. That's kind of ambiguous, and you want it to be very clear on the homepage of Greenwire where your event is happening and what it is. And then in terms of the details, so when you scroll down here, you can, of course, put the date and the location of the event. So you definitely just want to be as specific as possible in this. And it's always worthwhile to, gives you the option of writing a start date and an end date. So I'm going to mark both as October 14th so that it's clear that this event is only happening on the one day. And then a start and an end time if you are able to provide that, just so that someone, if they're not able to make the 8 o'clock start, they have from 9 to 10 still to join. And then something else that I noted is when you're looking at the description, so again here you're going to put the exact address of your event, which is great. You definitely want to be really specific, like with the apartment number, building number, things like that. But if you're inviting folks to like a coffee shop that not everyone might have been to, or to your apartment, or to somewhere that probably a lot of the folks joining the event will not have been before, it's always helpful to put like any directions that you have or notes like, oh, I live next to a farmer's market, or I have a red door. Things like that are just always helpful, especially for new folks who don't necessarily know you and can't like call you on your cell phone if they're near your house and can't find it. Just something to note. And then I also just wrote, always try to upload a photo for your event too, which is going to be right here under add image. So I would just pick a nice picture of some colorful climate ribbons, to draw people's attention to it on the homepage. Cool, so I'm going to end screen share now, hopefully. Okay, great. So if anyone has any questions about that, that's a pretty, I'm sure maybe you've probably seen events on Greenwire before and maybe added one, but those are just some tips for how to make it as attractive as possible to people on the homepage. So the next thing I would do if I was planning a climate ribbon party would be to use the member search function to find folks near me and then reach out to them directly. So I know, Sarah, you mentioned tagging people on Facebook, and that is pretty similar. And I know, Steve, you mentioned reaching out specifically to people on Greenwire. So this is just a great opportunity to find people who might be able to go to the event and basically tag them in the event or let them know that it's coming up so that they can hopefully join. So now I'm going to screen share again. And maybe it's my computer because it's kind of old and slow. So thanks for your patience with that. Cool, so I'm on the home page, and to find the member search, I'm going to go back to community and to members here. And wait patiently for Greenwire to load. Great, so I'm on the members page and I'm over here on this filter section where I can search, and I'm just going to type in my zip code of my hometown, and I would recommend where it says this 5 miles right here, I always do 25 miles, so that's going to capture people 25 miles away and closer to this particular zip code, if that makes sense. So maximum 25 miles away, but everyone in that kind of bubble will be captured in my search. So then I'm just going to click apply. Oops. There, now it's loading. Great. So Greenwire is now showing me all of the folks that live within 25 miles of my hometown in Roanoke, Virginia. Um, and so I would love it if everyone, I think you're all at a computer and hopefully you have Greenwire up. So I know some of you have done this before and others probably haven't. So if you will try this yourself, I would love that. So just clicking on the members and then doing a member search. And then we're all together going to reach out to one person close to us. And it can be a friend if you know someone on Greenwire that lives close to you. But it'll just be a good way to practice. So I'm going to keep my screen share on while I do this, but I'm also going to check the chat. So if any issues come up, you can chat me, and I'll give everyone like a minute to do that. Maybe longer because Greenwire is sometimes slow. So give me a thumbs up when you have your search loaded. I know you might be waiting on Greenwire to load. Yay! Thanks, Anna. Thanks, Steve. Awesome. Thank you, Sri. Cool. So I'm going to, Sarah, I hope that it's working okay for you. Okay, great. Cool. So I'm just going to, so a lot of these people are my friends already. So I'm going to pull up Bailey's profile. I'm just going to open it in a new tab. And I can write a shout on her or their wall and say absolutely, you know, whatever I want. I'm going to just say, hey, and I noticed you live in Roanoke, PA. I'm also from and this is just, you know, I would love it if you would do this with me, just like reach out to one person in your area. But of course, this is really helpful if you have an event coming up. So I could write on Bailey's profile and say, hey Bailey, I see you live in Roanoke and I have this climate ribbon party coming up on the 14th of October. I would love it if you could make it. Here's the link to the event. Really simple and easy, and of course if you're shouting on multiple people's walls, for the sake of efficiency, you can always copy and paste that shout with the link. But it just is really helpful always to give, you know, invite folks personally to that training, or excuse me, to your event so that they definitely see it and definitely hear about it. And then that personal invitation is always really helpful too, because there's no guarantee that they're going to see your event on the homepage. And just a note on that too, even if you, so with our group that we created in Denver, obviously we made it belong to the Denver group, but for if I was hosting a group in Roanoke, Virginia, of course there isn't a Greenpeace Greenwire group for that area, so definitely worth it to do a member search. But even if there was, folks aren't automatically added to local groups when they join Greenwire. So it's still worth the couple of minutes it takes to do a member search, because even with this event in Denver, there could be folks that aren't in the Denver group and wouldn't see the event unless I directed them to it individually by posting on their profile. So I posted on Bailey's profile, and I'm going to send them a friend request, and hopefully Bailey will get back to me and we can connect. So great. So so I hope everyone was able to reach out to someone in their area. If not, you can go back and do it later. And then one more tip that I had was just that phone banking. I'm sure some of you have done phone banking before. It's a really great way to reach out to folks to let them know about events coming up near them. And phone banking is just calling everyone in an area or certain people in an area. I'm going to stop my screen share now so you can see me again. But phone banking is really helpful, and it's just kind of going even an extra step from reaching out to someone on Greenwire to actually giving them a personal phone call and inviting them to an event. And so what we can do if you are if you have an event coming up in your area and you're looking to phone bank, please anytime feel free to reach out to me, and I can get you the phone numbers of all the people in your area, just the same way you're going to do a member search and then pull up all the people near you. But unfortunately, Greenwire doesn't allow every person to see the phone numbers of all the members on Greenwire, although I think that would be a cool feature. But it's for privacy purposes. It makes sense. So if you want to ever phone bank people in your area that you find on Greenwire, you can always reach out to a staff person, me or anyone else. I linked the Who's Who page in those training notes, and on there you'll be able to see community managers and staff, the folks that will have access to phone numbers, so that you can phone bank if you're interested. Cool. So, yep, so our climate ribbon party happened, we're pretending, and it was awesome, and everybody had a great time. And we had an awesome turnout because we recruited a bunch of folks from Greenwire. So my last tip in terms of that event would be to post something about the event afterwards. And that's, an extra step, and obviously you worked really hard to plan the event. But that is kind of a preemptive measure for recruitment for your next event. So if you had a really awesome event, post some photos, post a blog, post something on Greenwire to show how awesome it was. And then you're going to have folks who couldn't make it, or they're going to see that on the homepage and think, wow, that looks really awesome. I'll definitely have to go to the next event in Denver, for example. So, and I think it's just a great way to build community and make sure that you are connecting with as many people on Greenwire as you can. So I highly encourage that if you are hosting events. Cool, so we are at 8:37, so I'm going to talk even faster for our Part 2, although there's less to cover in Part 2. But, and I apologize that I am just like speed talking at you the whole time. I promised it was planned to be more interactive, but I will obviously will leave some time for questions and just thoughts at the end. And if anyone has any additional questions, and you can always reach out to me on Greenwire, or we can talk about it on the phone, anything like that. So thanks for your patience with me with the technical difficulties, and for following along as I just blabber very quickly through the call. Um, so next we're going to talk about groups, and some of you, I know Steve, you are the guru of the NYC volunteer group, so you have a lot of experience with that, which is awesome. And some of you might be thinking about starting a group or have a group that is you know, in a transition period or not super active. So hopefully this section will cater to all different needs in that way. But we are going to start with very basic, just creating a group on Greenwire. So I'm going to screen share again. And present. Great. So when you are, let's see, where is a home page? Okay, well, I'll just go home here. Great, so we're on the home page, and again, we're going to go to that community tab, and this time we're going to click groups. Similar to how you would create an event, you're just going to click this orange add your group button. And so I have some similar tips for creating a group as creating an event. Again, you want it to be a informative and concise name, but if you want to throw in an exclamation point or a smiley face in there to keep it happy and fun, I am totally for that. But I'm just gonna, for the sake of practice, Denver. Similar to when you're creating an event, I highly recommend that for your group subscription type, you make it open so that anyone can join your group. For similar reasons, it might seem weird to you that someone from Virginia wants to join this Denver group, but maybe they're moving, maybe they're traveling to Denver, maybe they heard about it from a friend and want to see what's going on. So it's just always helpful to keep that group open and make sure anyone has access to it. Maybe they just want to admire your awesome work in Denver. So, and then I would say, so we're going to go under basic group information to your description. I would say, again, be as specific as you possibly can in your description. So if you have weekly meetings, saying when those are and where they are, so that anyone can go to the group page and know exactly what you're up to, you know, how they can get in touch. Maybe you put your phone number here if you're the leader, or and just, again, make it welcoming, you know, have it at the bottom, like, love meeting new people, would love to have you at some of our meetings, anything like that. You know, we really want Greenwire to be a space where folks are meeting new people and welcoming new activists into our movement. So this is a great place, again, to continue that mission and that sort of attitude. So, and then we're going to go down a little bit. Again, I encourage uploading images to make your group, you know, seem active and fun and attract people. Under contact and social media, here is a great place for you to, again, provide an opportunity for folks to reach out if they have questions or if they want to just talk to you about getting involved with your group. So I'm going to write my own name as the primary contact, and you can see this little wheel turning over here in this corner, and Greenwire is going to pull up the link to my profile. So make sure you click that so that when you create the group, this primary contact person will actually be linked on the group so that someone can click on their profile and contact them if they have questions. And of course, if you have you know, a vice president, if you will, or someone else who interacts with volunteers, they're great to put in the secondary contact. And then the last thing I would say about groups is that the more active your group, the better. So the more you're posting, the more you're responding to folks. Again, this just goes along with having a welcoming and open space. And when people come to a group page that's really open and active, they're really encouraged to get involved, which again is just going to help with your recruitment. So as an example, I linked in the organizer training notes the Greenpeace Chicago page. Sorry, Steve, I wish I had been Greenpeace New York City now. But they're both really great examples. But the Greenpeace Chicago page is just, you know, again, here when you have the primary contact, you can see that if I click here, it's going to take me to Jessica's profile. And she maintains this group, and she's, you know, going to respond to folks. So anyone that posts, like Nicole says, hey, when and where are weekly meetings? And Jessica says, oh, they're on Wednesdays at 6:15. And then in their, you know, about the group description, it says get involved. Like there's photos, there's, you know, 115 members. So clearly this group is doing well, and it's just a good example of what we want our Greenwire groups to look like and what's going to be most effective in getting folks involved and keeping them involved. Cool. So once we created our group, so we're going to pretend that Greenpeace Chicago is the group we created now. I just have some tips about staying in touch with your group and maintaining your group. And just a quick note about administrating a group. So anytime you create a group, you are going to be the administrator of that group. But if there's a group that is already created on Greenwire, so this Greenpeace Chicago group, the administrators of this group are going to be Jessica and Andrew. And I am one just for the sake of this training, so I can show you how that works. But just so you know, these are features for administrators of groups specifically. So when you are managing a Greenwire group, you have these abilities and privileges. And if you are trying to get in touch with folks in the Chicago area, but you aren't the administrator of this group, again, this is something that staff is always here to support you with, and we're happy to give you those privileges or talk to you about them if you're looking to reach out to folks in this way. But just to say that there is an extra step involved if you aren't already a manager of a Greenwire group. Cool, so the first thing I'm going to do is add people to this group. So if I talked with a volunteer that's really excited and I want to add them to this Greenpeace Chicago group, I can just click Manage Group and then Add People. And I'm going to type that person's username. So for Bailey, for example, every person's username is here listed right next to their name on their Greenwire profile. So I'm just going to copy and paste her username, their username, and oops, I brought up the wrong page, and then just paste it here. And again, Greenwire will think for a second and then pull up this person that I'm referencing. I hope that worked. And then when I click Add Users, which I'm not going to add Bailey to this group because they would probably think that's weird, but that person will be added to the group. So pretty simple. So next we're going to send an email to our group. And this is a great feature because obviously if you have 115 members of your Greenpeace Chicago group, you don't want to email all those people individually or search for their email on their Greenwire profile. So again, you're going to click on Manage Group, and then you're just going to click on People. And part of the reason I use this group is because there are 115 people, there, as you can see, are 5 pages of members. So what you're going to do to make sure you're sending the email to all of those folks is you're going to click this button right beside name. And so that just selected the 25 people on this page. So you can see that right here. But I'm going to click select all 115 rows on all pages to make sure that these little check marks are next to every person that's in this group. And so they should all be selected now. So from there, I'm going to click choose an operation and then send email. And then I'm going to click go. And so it'll bring you to this page, which is where you can just type your message and your subject. Again, I would suggest a short but informative subject so folks are enticed to open the email. And then in the other note I would say about this is that when you send an email from Greenwire to the people in this Greenpeace Chicago group, it's going to come from greenwire.usa@greenpeace.org. So it's not going to show that I sent this email. It's going to show that Greenwire sent the email. So the very first thing I'm going to say in my email is, hi everyone, this is Elizabeth. I'm a and then the second thing I'm going to say is your just to be totally clear, because again, that's not something that Greenwire says when it sends the email. So it's important to note that in the first part of your email so folks aren't like, this is weird, I don't know who sent me this email. Great, so last thing I'll say about groups, and then hopefully we'll have some time for chatting and questions or trying to chat with our technical difficulties. I'm going to go back to the, and to send that email, I'm sorry, you're just going to click, I'll go back, sorry about that. So manage group, people, I'm going to select send email, go, and then I'm going to type my message, and then when I click next, I'm not actually going to click because it'll send, but it just, there's just a page that says confirm send, and then you click yes and it'll send to all 115 people in that group. So if we go back to the group page, the last thing is I'm gonna show you how to get all the information you need to phone bank all the people in this group. So again, this is a thing where if you're the administrator of a group, you can see every person in that group's phone number. If you're not an administrator, that's something that staff could help you with, or we could set you up to see those phone numbers. But assuming that you have administrator privileges and you want to phone bank all the folks in this group, which again is a really great recruitment tool, just giving every one of those folks a call. You're going to click Manage Group and then People. And then again, you're going to be brought to this page with all the data about every person in this group. So from here, it's pretty simple. I'm just going to highlight all of this information. I'm going to copy and paste it. And then I'm going to pull up a spreadsheet. Just a blank Excel spreadsheet, and then paste it right in. So this isn't the best format, but I can adjust that. Oh, I don't know why it didn't copy the numbers. That's a terrible example. I haven't updated my Excel for a while, but so you're just going to copy and paste, and the phone numbers should show up. And if you have issues with that, you can always reach out to me with any questions. But again, to note, with the 115 members in this group, I'm going to have to unfortunately do that page by page. So after I've copied all of these, I'm going to do the same thing, highlight, copy and paste this second page. And then once you transfer it into another document, whether it's a spreadsheet or even a Word document, you can distribute it to whoever you're phone banking with, or you'll have it in a form so that you don't have to copy and paste like that again. So I'm going to turn off my screen sharing. So I ran through all of that really quickly. So again, thank you for your patience and everything like that. The last thing I had was I wanted to leave time for questions. And then I just wanted to talk a little bit about actually why we did this training and what you all think, how you think this training and recruitment on Greenwire connects to the bigger movement. Like, why does it matter, that we use Greenwire to recruit folks? Just because I wanted to, make sure we talk about how important this is in the bigger picture of our organizing. So if you have any questions, you can, I just saw you say, can you repeat that, Anna? I'm so sorry. What should I repeat? Are you sure? I feel really bad. Okay, well, if anyone has questions, you can post them in the chat now, or if anyone has ideas about why recruitment is important, feel free to share those with each other or with me through the chat. Oh, great. Okay. Thank you, Steve. The sound thing makes me a pretty bad facilitator. So I'm sorry, Anna.
Anna, if I recall, you were asking why to write about, like, explain more in depth on when you send an email to, like, be specific about who it's from. When you write an email via the email function, email group function on Greenwire, it just sends from a random email address. So you want to be as upfront as possible, saying, like, this is who I am and this is why I'm emailing you, like doing that in the subject line. Just to make sure, because it will come from a greenwire.greenpeace.usa something or other. It'll come from an oddball email address, so being upfront and saying, like, this is who it is can help. It helps you be more personal. It also will make sure people read that. Also, signing it and putting an email address is really helpful in my experience. Does that answer the question?
Yeah, that does. Awesome. Thank you. So I'm hoping that Steve was able to answer your question. Okay, great. Thank you, Steve, so much for your help. I do want to recognize that we have 2 minutes left, and I don't want to go over because I am, thanks for having my back, Steve. You're the best. I am definitely going to jump off at 9. I know other people are probably tired too. Although it might be different time zones that we're dealing with, but awesome! Thank you, Anna, for answering my question. I'm so happy. Yeah, totally. To take a definition from my poli-sci class. Love it. Love it. That's awesome. Oh, yes. Yes, Sarah. I'm so glad that you got to create a group and everything. And you can always contact me with any questions. I put there's a link to my profile in the notes document. But my, email, I'll just put it in the chat. You can always email me too, or we can talk on the phone with any of you that need extra help. So I'm so glad. Thank you so much for joining and following along. I hope it was helpful. And then just the last thing that I would say, so my answer to the question about why recruitment is important is we just see it as movement building, and we talk a lot about people power and organizing, but even these little, recruitment tools on Greenwire, if you get 3 more people out to your event than you would have without doing a member search on Greenwire, we really see that as, or I really see that as super valuable, because that's just more people that you're bringing into the movement and more people that are, standing up for the planet. So just to think about it in a bigger picture, I think it's pretty cool if you think about it that way. So so then, okay, very last thing. I said last thing, but this is the very last thing. I also wanted everyone to set one goal while we're on the call. And Sri, I see your question, so I'll get to that. So if your homework from this call, I'm an EVO facilitator, I'm giving you homework that is just to make a goal for, if you have an upcoming event or a group, make a goal for how many people you want to recruit using Greenwire to that group or event. And hopefully you'll be able to do that with the tools that we talked about. And if you need any support with that, please feel free to reach out to me at any time. So what are the typical activities that I carry back? Yeah, so that's a great question, Sri. So we do different tactics that we put on periodically. So right now the tactic that we're working on is the People's Climate Movement Day of Action, which we talked about with the Climate Ribbon event. So if you're looking for activities to do and to recruit folks in your area to build a group, we would love to talk to you about that. And we definitely have things that our activists are doing around the country that are planned that we can talk to you about. So if you want to talk more about that with me, I would love to just tell you more about what we have going on now and in the upcoming months. I hope that helps. Okay, great. Awesome. Yeah, well, thank you so much, everyone, for your patience, for being on the call. I hope it was helpful, and again, can't stress enough that you can reach out to me anytime with questions. So thank you all. Yeah. It was great to see you all, and have a good evening. Thanks for joining. Bye.